Welcome back, everyone. It is me, Nina, with Helen again. We're continuing our conversation with kind of like energy healing. We were chatting a moment ago about emotional and spiritual clearing needing to happen. And if that doesn't happen, your body is going to be kind of like the last thing that is attacked if you don't quieten down and listen. And like Helen, you were saying in the previous call that you literally sat down every day for a couple of hours, pretty much stepping into meditation. Not that that's what you were thinking it was going to be, but you just sat and you were looking at a blade of grass or whatever it was. But you were doing this consistently, day after day for a good couple of months. And I think what I wanted to pick up on is kind of like this idea of consistency. Because my partner and me, we were literally just this morning chatting about how we've got our little 15-minute plank, strengthening, core strengthening practice that we do. We've done it for about maybe 6 or 8 months now because he was having lower back problems. And we were just saying, if you were to do this little sequence once off or for a week, you're not really going to feel the benefits. But the fact that we've been doing it, or he's been more consistent than me, to be honest, and to give him credit, for like the last 6 or 8 months, he's like, I'm not waking up with back pain anymore. I'm not, like I'm feeling good. Like my core feels strong. I feel really good in myself. And so I wanted to just bring in this idea of like consistency being such a big part in our lives that, we're so much in this quick to impress and, instant gratification, that we forget that actually sometimes we need to keep going and going. So with that in mind, how have you navigated and continued your path and your journey with your work and the meridians, and like being consistent with that? Was that a difficult journey? Was that easy? And then from there, what maybe we'll go into is like, what are the benefits of understanding your meridians, and especially relating that to us yoga teachers or even just yoga lovers, like when we're on our mat practicing, why is it so useful to have an understanding of meridians? Again, questions right off the bat. So start wherever you want that feels most comfortable.
Thank you, Nina. So, it goes back again to the why, as we were chatting in the previous conversation. My why was so strong, and it wasn't just, so it started with my son, but then it developed into, as you were saying as well, deeper whys, because we have whys, reasons for activating each area of life, be it spiritual, be it your health, be it financial, your work, etc. All of those areas have a purpose. And if none of them have a strong enough purpose, that is going to be an area where there'll be a void. So my drive at the time was, yes, it was my son, but what was connecting that? My health. Okay, so I needed to get well so that I could be there for my son. So what did I need to do to get well? And I realized I'm going to have to, although it wasn't that type of conscious realization at the time, it was an actualization at the time of me showing up every day. I needed a plan. And I came up with this plan of, let me just sit and be still. So I had done enough reading, as so many of us do, read and read and read and read. And I realized, okay, I've been reading for years. Now I need to actually put into action. And I also realized it can't just be a day or a week. I have something which has taken me down to such a degree. And in a way, maybe it was a benefit, because that gave me the strength to have this drive for consistency. Whereas if life is mediocre and okay, why do you need to be consistent? So again, go back to your drawing board and have your whys in all those areas of life. And it's got to be strong enough. It just so happens that one of my archetypes is the healer and the teacher. So I was actually doing a whole lot of research there and then without me even realizing it, and getting to know not only my thoughts as I was sitting on the chair every morning, I was getting to know my body. And the first person that I went to see, apart from the doctors who assessed me as having nothing wrong with me, the first alternative health practitioner I went to see was a kinesiologist. And I wasn't even into a third of the session, and I knew I have to do this because it felt like this is what I know. This is what I do.
So amazing that you say. It's like so often people will take part in something, you know, be it that they get on a surfboard, be it that they get into a yoga class with a specific teacher, be it, you know, that they end up, you know, out on the mountain on a specific route. But there's something often that draws a person right in, where you just have this knowing, like your gut just feels it. So that's what you had when you went to this kinesiology session.
Yes, yes. And it all felt so right, and it was so easy. And everything just flowed. Me getting onto a course, it wasn't immediately because I first had to get well and strong. But when the time was right, everything just flowed. And it feels that in that vein, it has continued. My health work has had a life of its own. And again, like you were saying, we get drawn into an area for a particular reason. And that is, I believe, it's our soul connecting with our earth journey. And then it flows. And then you've got the support. And everything just is so supportive for that. And my work with kinesiology, it wasn't just kinesiology. There was holistic psychology as well involved, and a whole lot of other psycho-spiritual modalities, which I learned and brought in. But the one modality that I found again and again and again and again and again that was showing up and always successful was meridian therapy.
Wow. Okay. And why? Why?
Because it just works. You treat a meridian and you have an almost instant reaction, awareness, response. So every time I was working meridians directly, now the meridians actually do get worked indirectly, but I was at first looking at it from a very direct, okay, we're working the whole meridian. We're running the whole meridian for the spleen, or we're running the whole meridian for the kidney, for example. Every time the person I was working with would say, oh my word, I feel different every single time. And sometimes they could describe, sometimes not, but there was a huge impact in difference in awareness. And so I started to really focus on meridians and understanding them at a deeper level. I went on to study Japanese, not Japanese meridians, but the Japanese angle of looking at meridians, which is similar but not exactly the same from the school of thought I come from, which is traditional Chinese medicine. But there's crossovers and there's layovers, and it's actually just slightly different interpretations. It's, you know, I suppose if we look at mythology and we see so many different myths from years gone by, all from different corners of the earth, there's a similarity. They're not 100% exactly the same, but there's a similarity. So it was like that with the map of meridians. And the deeper and deeper I dived into understanding meridians and working with it on my body, in my body, because they're vessels of current in the body. And I've always been very interested in frequency. I've worked with frequency devices and frequency treatments. I work with sound as well. So all frequency in my archetypal course, it's all about the frequency of language and how the vibration of what we think or what we say goes out, goes in, how that impacts us. It's all about frequency at the end of the day. And what is the frequency like now in all of these different tubes of currents in your system? If they're in harmony, you're going to be well. And if there's a dissonance, well, then with muscle testing, we'll be able to pick up where that dissonance is happening. Or if you are in tune and you know how to read your body, you can do that. So I started in sessions sharing with people how they could treat themselves at home, because it's really simple. And that is really where my passion lies, is holistic health education. I want people to leave the session and be empowered, not just to say, I have to go back to get well. No, 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 no. You need to take responsibility for your own health and wellness for your whole life. So I was now showing one-on-one in sessions. This is what you do. This is how you do it. This is when you don't do it, etc., etc. And from there, I went on to workshops, in-person workshops. Last year, I was traveling all around the Western Cape and having all these different workshops, showing people how you can be your first own medical intuitive, but also your own practitioner, instead of relying on somebody else to tell you, this is what's wrong with you, and this is what you need. Because we are all designed to self-heal. We all have intuition. We all know our bodies. We just have to listen. And getting to know your meridians is such a beautiful way to listen and to have and see those aha moments. From there, I thought, I want to extend this so that this can reach even more people. And I was visiting Pritam, a friend of mine.
Mention her, Pritam, yes. And I was going to say, how has she adapted this and included this or worked with this in her courses? Because she's a beautiful the Kundalini yoga teacher. And so yeah, tell me about her and you, and how she's utilizing it in her trainings as well.
So I was visiting her in Robertson. I was actually co-presenting with her a nervous system workshop on the farm there, Long Valley Farm. And the one morning she invited me to do a Kundalini set with her, 6 o'clock in the morning, looking at the beautiful Robertson Mountains. And we went through the set. And at the end, I said to Pritam, we have just worked through all the 14 primary meridians. She was like, oh, really? And I said to her, yeah, that stretch there and that asana there, that activated this, that activated that. And I just said to her, we've got to do something together, because I've got my mind on sharing this information, which is a lot of the time theory-based. She's coming from very practical in your body. Let's connect to, and that's exactly what we did. And so we created this deep dive meridian course where you've got the information, but it's presented in 3 different ways. So the one way is your very left brain, linear. Okay, here's the info. Here's how you run the meridian on the body like a line. And then you've got Pritam coming in, and she's working with activating it through a particular gesture, pose, asana. Then you can see and feel it. Oh, wow, that's stretching out. So we can work with the meridians in so many different ways. You can activate them, flush them, run them, not only in a traditional practitioner way. Then the third way is working with it intuitively. So in this course, we also present a guided visualization, which is just audio. and you sit, internalize quietly with your eyes closed, and you are guided to go into the body at a specific point. You get told exactly where. And then slowly you get guided how to move up, where, how much below the surface of the skin, etc., etc. So you start to get used to going into your body and feeling. It might not be the whole vessel, because there are points on the vessel which are more active than others. And it's those points which often go ping for somebody, and they say, oh, I felt that. I might not have felt the line, but I felt that point, and I felt that point. Yes. If you go to acupuncture for a treatment, those are those points along the meridian that they will work with. And it's through very specific detecting devices that you will pick up the high frequency points along specific meridians. And no matter where in the world you are, who you are, we all have those same points on the body, which is how and why they've been able to confirm meridians and that they do exist.
Oh, Helen, this has been so helpful and so informative, and I have 1,000,001 questions. So what I'm going to do is going to push pause for a moment, and then, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you back again and ask a couple of questions with regards to that. Is that good with you?
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome.